This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. I'm doing a little Friday morning live chat with friends and family and everyone in the Discord room. I hope you're having an amazing week, as you should be. Man, a lot to talk about. We'll try to knock it out. I appreciate everybody saying, you know what, take the night off from doing a recap. You've done your work. If you were not in position for this stuff, and again, fully wasn't necessary, even partially, then, man, it's been hard. It's been really hard. I get it. However, at this point, let's talk about where we are, what to do next, how to take profits, make sure you pay yourself, all these little things. I want to get into that. So, again, if you're newer to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll get notifications when we do these live chats. I think sometimes these are some of the most important / information gathering, seeking, giving sessions that we do, because a lot of just talk about what's going on, how not to overtrade, how to have the right mindsets in this stuff, how to be aware of things, just play the game as the game is meant to be played versus how we desire it to be played. Because I think that's the biggest problem with traders, most times than not. What are they doing? They're over trading. They're trying to make the market do what they want it to do versus what the market is going to do. That's a huge change in psychology. A lot of people don't have the ability to take themselves out of the market. When I say take themselves out of the market, like what they want to be done. Because no one gets into a trade goes, I'm going to lose. No one does that. So let's talk about that. Again, if you want to get in the Discord room, hit me up on Twitter. I've been very reluctant to let people in. I've been actually kicking people out. Not that they can't come back in. It's just, I feel like if you're not really here to learn and pay attention to this stuff and you have your own thoughts and beliefs on how you want trading to be done, and if I give you feedback, it's from a point of love and honesty. If you're not really interested in taking it and you have your own things, just do it. And you don't need to be in here. Not a big deal. You can still follow, still come into these chats, still be friends, still whatever. It's just, you realize in trading, the market does what it's going to do. It's just, do you have the capacity mentally to succeed? A lot of people don't realize that they are the key. They are their own worst enemy. They're the reason why things go awry. Oh, looks like FTX Group commences voluntary Chapter 11's proceeding. Is anyone surprised they're going to go bankrupt? I don't think so. So, on that note, if you have any questions, please drop some questions. Let's get involved, or get involved. What do you got? Because going into this morning, personally, if you are, again, the more you're up, the less you own, and not necessarily unloading fully, unless that's what you want to do and you want to pay yourself, you want to take that money, no problem. Right now, Netflix flat, gold slightly up, getting close to targets, oil popping like we thought it would, Alcoa popping like we thought it would, CF popping, NTR is up, materials. Now I know, got a little tech with Netflix, but let's drop into the charts and let's show you why. Wow, Netflix, that doesn't look good. We talked about this, acting much better. It's been in a basing pattern since April versus other stocks making new lows, right? Said, watch what happens when we get into this. It used to be the upside target zone. Now support. Remember, support becomes resistance. Bought it yesterday. Bought some before the CPI. Again, feeler bets. Added more. Boom. Popped. Bought the dip yesterday at I can't remember, 265, I think. Wasn't the bottom dip, but when it pulled back, I think it was the 200-day. Closed at 274. Again, trading around the position, in and out, here and there, bits, nibbles. Easy trade. Gold, be on red alert. Be on red alert. You're getting to the upside target zone. The more you're up, the less you own. Because, again, at some point, you're going to get these pullbacks. You can trade around it. If the trend is your friend and true, then it becomes so much easier to add dips. It's just so easy. when the trend is your friend. I mean, it's the same thing. You know, a lot of people struggle with AA, which you get. It's hard. I mean, it's not ever. Well, don't say it's not ever easy. Sometimes the hardest trades are the best trades. Sometimes the easy trades. You don't know. But we talked about big boy here, supporting, backed up, gotten into this range, went a little lower, bought it, sold it, bought some. What's today, man? Wednesday. It's like weird looking at the charts really hard without it moving in the morning. And then look, you're popping. Now it's opening. I think the open is probably going to be somewhere over 45.70. Perfect. If you bought some dips yesterday, talked about in the afternoon, if you could see a 43 handle on it, really wanted to see 43, didn't get that. Well, guess what? If you added that dip, high five to you. CF, banking on the door for 110s. Banking on the door, pre-market. Really got to get over this range to fill the gap. We talked about NTR, longer-term monster base level, and huge volume. Not surprised it bounced. I mean, if you bought some of this and been trading around it, another excellent trade. Excellent trades. I mean, this is the thing. You don't need to hit home runs every day, every week. You just find setups and they work out. Boom. You nail them. You move on. You take your money out. You live another day. Versus always trying to overtrade. It's just absolutely garbage, that mindset. Oh, yeah. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. Thank you for your service. It's much appreciated. Always thought I might get into the military. Wanted to be a pilot because I'm farsighted. I'm farsighted, but it's not. I don't think that's good for you. Anyway, long story short, always appreciate that stuff. From North Carolina, I got a lot of friends in the armed forces. It's appreciated. UNG, if you bought this dip, just remember, it's a wild one. Trade it. We talk about this all the time, you know. Peel in, peel out. Take a little oil up. Nice. Up solid $2. Talked about getting into these ranges. Bounce. Now you're up into the 74s, if I see correct. Yep. Let me pull up some of the futures charts. I think these will help. Live morning. What a bonus. What up? Not 15 minutes. Let's go to the daily on oil. Well, that looks like a mess. I don't know if you can hear my cat. She's in my lap. Talked about backing up into the 85, 86 range. Like it. Left, right combo potentially. Doji in between. If you don't know what a left-right combo is, it's a pattern where it's like big red, down candle, doji indecision, big green. It's kind of a inflection point kind of formation. It doesn't happen all the time. It's not like it's every trade, but I'm trying to see if you can find another one. Another left-right combo bottom or top. Oh, here you go. Here's one. Big red, doji, green. Again, I'm anticipating just the market to... I mean, again, we're getting into OPEX. Is it going to get a little choppy? Duh. Is it going to get a little sloppy? You would think it probably can. It would make sense. But this is why people are like, oh, what are you in? I'm like, I'm trying to stay in things that I think are safe. Dan, what does safe mean? Not much downside. Again, tech, hard. Trade it. Absolutely hard as crap. The only one I'd like is Netflix. AA, NTR, CF. I mean, you name the materials name, safe. Oh, they don't have the big upside. I don't care. I can leverage more safely and trade around the positions safely. That to me is a big psychological edge that nobody thinks about, right? You start trading Tesla, Apple, you name the tech stock, you're going to have to be on more red alert, more self-aware that that thing can get tossed around. Get tossed around. And when we say tossed around, you know what I mean. 1 minute it's up $5, the next it could be down. You never know. Nat gas, it's been hard. No one doubts that. Said watch what happens when it pulls back, breaks out, comes back. It's got to get over the 630s. So it probably gets right back to 660. I mean, we've said this 1,000 times. The Feds are in this position where they're trying to hit Goldilocks. Here's a broadening pattern, which could get interesting. I don't think there is Goldilocks. I think at some point, if they try to even sniff the pivot, people start buying commodities again because they know they're safe. They know tax loss selling. You're not going to buy back your tech stocks that you sold because you got to wait 30 days. Unless you want to, give up your tax loss on the wash sale, which most people don't. I think they're going to come into commodities, and that's going to be a problem for the feds because why? They want to, if they're really going to pivot and you want to see inflation, CPI start dropping, it's very obvious. Materials need to go south. They're not going south, I think. They're going to go up because of what? If the dollar's peeling back, like we talked about, I mean, so many things. If you just study the evidence, I'm always amazed where people in the Discord room, I mean, again, I always say there's probably only going to be like 20 or 30 people that survive. I'm just like, what are you guys looking at that just gives you such confidence to believe the masses are going to be right? Like, we talk about psychology of the game, like the market maker's goal to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. Don't ever get that confused. And then all of a sudden, the masses, everyone's long dollar. We're talking like, be careful. This candle probably is indecisive for a reason. If everybody's bullish and you get a doji, you got to be careful. And when I say everybody, like sentiment, well, look what happens. Talked about it. Here it comes. We talked about 20 level. I think pre-market, you got the dollar even in 28.82. Is it filling this gap potentially? I mean, is today the high? We don't know. And when I say high for the markets, probably not. You're going to get some chop-ex. How far now could the dollar drop? Here you go. Next major trend line, 0.382 at 28.21. See it? Maybe it comes into the 200-day. That would be ideal. That would be ideal for easiest support. That makes sense. The confluence, you want to see multiple. You want trend lines, fibs, moving averages, major moving averages, and then look at this. Let me just pull this across. Oops, sorry, I messed that up. Right there. That would be tight, meaning that would be nice. Very nice. Very nice. So if you have any questions, holler. Market's about to open in a minute. Not really a ton to say. I mean, I think people are looking at SMH shorts. If you took them and you stopped out, congrats. I mean, now we're getting into what? We don't know. This white line is an old uptrend that I don't know if it could come into play. Let me expand these charts because I haven't even really thought about shorting. I was going to look over it this weekend because I'm not really in a rush, as I've told folks. Like, there's no rush to short. My NDAQ trade is not working. I've got March puts. The only thing I bought out way far so far. March puts. And some stock. Not that painful because other stuff is obviously moving forward. But I'm like, should have dumped it. I mean, I think we've talked about this. NDAQ is the Coinbase of, crypto, which is going to be, NDAQ is going to be like the exchange for all these NASDAQ stocks that lose their Momo. When they lose their Momo, this exchange is not going to make money like they used to. Anyway, 2 seconds. Here we go. I'd watch this area. I would watch this area in the 216 to 220 range now. Remember I warned, like, just because you're in the 200s, you don't just short. You don't just take on trades just to take on trades. I always tell people, like, you got to be careful with that. I like to take levels, but if the market is cooking, there you go, nat gas, keep holding it up, ideally. See oil go. Maybe take a little Netflix on the pullback. I don't know, not really pulling back that hard. Just be safe out there. You got to be smart. You got to be thoughtful. Because just because you hit a zone and short, if the market is not moving down, this is why I always keep like, better be careful. Because if the market's not moving against it, you're kind of fighting the tide. And y'all know what I mean. Swimming against the tide is hard. It's pretty hard. Looks like the FTC or whatever FTX news came out. Looks like tech is taking a little pain at the open. Oil looks like it's building. Awesome sauce. Materials look strong. Dollar looks weak. AA, holy crap. Nice. If you still own it, which you should. Nice. Very nice. Can't complain about that. New core. It's interesting just looking at these things. He's breaking out. Yep, breaking out up to the next range. Again, not trading this stuff, just watching it. I know a lot of other people. I feel like if you want the CF update, here we go, 110s. Get it. You got to get over it. NTR, been a blessing to post earnings buy. Cranking. Again, tech, it's hard. What is Netflix doing? Down $2. I mean, not really much to get excited about to add dip. I mean, I guess the 20-day. If you really want to buy it down $2 after it ran up 20, that seems a little aggressive. I think I'll wait if I'm going to add. Gold! Here we go, getting to the upper quadrant. Again, just the more you're up, the less you own. I promise you, one day you'll realize why that's important, because along the way, oh, there you go, CF, along the way to the highs, you get pullbacks. Along the ways to the highs, you get pullbacks. Wow. We are murdering it. People talking about shorting, tan. If oil and gas hold up, yeah, you're into the zone. Auto zone. No, I'm just kidding. You're into this area, which I thought is important. But do I want to short it? I don't know. I don't know. And again, and when I say I don't know, it's like, is that the best trade? Like, you have to ask yourself these questions all the time. Am I trading well? Is this the best trade? Is this the best thing I could be doing? You don't know. So, just be thoughtful. Keep, I don't know what's the best way. Keep your head above water. Like, don't let winning change your plans. If your goal is to trade around a position, oh, it's up $3, I can't sell it. No, if your goal is to take some off, like I'm going to take a little off AA right now, then you take some off. Congratulations. High five. Pay yourself. Pay yourself. Pay yourself. Pay yourself. If you're not paying yourself, what are you doing? You're just growing this huge gambling account. Great. Bigger poker chip to lose. Gains are not real until realized. I say that all the time. Your account balance is a fugazi number that at any point could be lost if you trade incorrectly. Now, if it's sitting in cash, clearly not. But at some point, losses can come. Wins can come. Again, you never know. But if you are not paying yourself and you're not running this like a business, you are trying to get rich and go on a run, which we get. But I'm trying to explain to you, the mental part of this gets so much easier when you pay your bills, you pay your livelihood, you don't feel rushed, you don't feel like you have anything you have to do other than what? Just trade when it seems right. Like, you get into this mindset where trading now becomes a thought and a process of what? Man, is this a gap and go on CF? Oh my God. It becomes the process of, all right, I'm going to do the repeating patterns that always work, and I don't need to continue to search for new gambles, new trading styles. Like, you don't realize how good your trading is until you take the money out, and your brain doesn't believe it either. Keep that in mind. If you're not paying yourself, you're just growing your account. You're growing your frustrations when you win, when you lose. And when you win, you probably get higher. I mean, it's great to see my options account, my stock account doing really well today. But does it matter? No, it's not real until I pull it out. Like, I always tell people, like, they're like, how do you stay so calm and so you don't get up? I'm like, because I just know, like, I've been in this position 1,000 times. Oh, you have a winner. Did you take gains? Did you take your gains? Well, it's not real then, Dan. It's still in this account that's not being used to pay anything. It's buying lottery tickets. It's buying trades. Do you guys understand this? This is where the psychology of this is so important. Paying yourself takes the pressure off. Pay your taxes, because you're going to get taxed if you're winning. That's just not up for debate. You got to keep it simple. I mean, I don't know what you have to learn that lesson, but I'm telling you right now, and I don't know if some of y'all realize, like, some people haven't taken a trade in a month that I know in the room. You know what? I have no problem with that, because they paid themselves handsomely before. And they're like, you know what? I'm going to wait for the big short. Okay, cool. That is some next level mental stuff. And if you don't understand that, it's because it's like comes from a place of calm. Do we not always talk about, like, letting trades come to you? The best trades that come to you, when you're not feeling like you got to make money, and again, if you're not taking money out, you're just like trying to grow this pile of dirt that could get blown away if something happened incorrectly. You have to keep that in mind. All right, so you got the Qs pulling back, SPY back to flat. Maybe it pins to 395 today. I don't know. Dollar rallying. Could we pull back decent today? Oh, it's always possible. Hence why if you took some profits this morning and some things, you're golden. Man, Netflix, come on. Just like want to see it down 5 or 6, 7 points. I'd love to add. Had some orders hit into the close yesterday as it got up towards 275. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? I just still think a lot of people don't realize like they are their own worst enemy. The market is a tool for extracting capital. What do you think of Tesla action this morning? I mean, it's something I would never have traded. I don't know. Elon selling stock, I don't want to buy. Now, he might try to sweeten the pot with creating some sort of hype around something, as bad news is usually followed by good news. It's not like Netflix is green now. Like, it's not in a basing pattern with references. It's just flopping, making lower lows. It's consolidation action. This is not a chart I want to buy. Like, notice how when it consolidated, then you could bust it. Notice when it retested on a bigger time frame, then you could play it. Now, you're betting on the V. I hate V bottoms. I hate V bottoms. I hate trying to pick the V bottom because guess what? At some point, it does retest. You have to think in your brain, like if I am buying this here, you have to be on red alert for a retest. And if it doesn't happen, that's the one-off move. And that's hard as hell. It's very hard mentally. If you don't see that and you haven't like learned that about yourself, then I don't know what to tell you. It's the same thing we talked about with the TLT. And I have to catch myself. Trust me, I'm not sitting here acting like I am holier than anybody. I make the same mistakes. But we talked about the TLT. Like if you bought it, you knew at some point it'd pull back. Okay. Well, there it goes with the CPI over the 20-day, which has been nice. It's getting over. But this is the thing. If you bought the lows, moving my lines, you knew at some point it was going to back up. So if you think that mentality with Tesla, all right, it either needs to chop out or some good news to V it off the bottom. I mean, I just wouldn't touch the stock with a 10-foot pole. Like, look at Netflix. Man, look at that. Up $3 again. This is why the base matters. The base matters because you shake out people. You shake out weak hands. The market makers are now in a position to mark it up. There you go, making higher highs. Like, do you see why? Like, how simple it is to me? Like, lay off all tech that is making newer lows. Look at the tech that's basing. And there's not much of it that I like. It's only Netflix. I mean, maybe you could have traded some of the SMH stuff. Like NVIDIA, we talked about hitting channel lows. It didn't back up. That's what's hard about it. Now you're back at the channel highs. That's hard. You know, like the V bottom. I mean, I guess you had one day where it backed up on itself. That's hard. That's the one-off, right? Like, that's what you hope Tesla turns into. I mean, SMH, we talked about this. I mean, here was your backup, and then boink. A little better of a base. So, any thoughts, questions, concerns? I mean, people, I hope, for the love of God, are making money. If you're not making money in this environment, following this channel, I don't know what you're doing. I really don't. Because that just boggles my mind. Even, I mean, XBI, we talked about cutting it, and it popped. That's cool. Things that aren't bearish, right? Just things that aren't bearish. Yeah. If you got questions, I mean, I can wrap this up. I feel like I'm just spinning wheels. But if you're not paying yourself, again, and if you support the channel, I appreciate any donation. It means a lot. It means that you understand the value of an education that you're getting for free. Because I know I can give this away and 95% of people still fail. Because they're the problem. It's not the information. I mean, you can literally lead a person to water, right? But will they drink it? And again, it's not like drinking this to be like some sort of cult stuff. It's like, do you understand the risk management? Do you understand your mistakes? Do you understand the desire that you have to learn? and know that all mistakes are good mistakes because they lead to a lesson that needs to be learned. If you're not learning, what are you doing? Do you think you're just going to show up to trading and just be great at it? It's the same analogy I give every day or every time. I'm like, hey, you got a basketball. Go play in the NBA. No. Here, you've got all these tools. We're showing you. Now you can be a trader, hopefully, to make money and live off of, create a business out of. Oh, you don't want to do the work? That's not my problem. You do the work, you see the value. That's why I always love the donation, because I know it means you're using the stuff. It makes sense. I don't ask for it, though, because I know most people can't execute this stuff. And that's fine. I don't want to increase their own. I don't want them to pay me so that they end up losing, or pay to support the channel more. Because, again, I plow a lot of this back into the channel and time and energy. Give a lot of time and energy into this channel. But all I said, I just need 10 folks. I need 10 people who commit to this. At worst, this room is going to be fire. The people are going to be giving back easily. Would you spy on weakness to add calls on OPEX? Yeah, but I wouldn't buy any pullback without a decent amount of points. It's a great question. This probably runs up, as we talked about, somewhere in the 400s. Nobody believed us down here. I'm like, it's basing. If it holds the 20-day, it's going to go. Well, then again, everybody was bearish in front of the CPI. JP Morgan's selling puts to every person and their mom. And then it rallies. So now you're at points where the next fib is at the 0.618 near 400, 0.75 near 410. It's, your guess is as good as mine, but I would not buy calls on just any weakness. I'd let it come to me. We don't know what it's going to be, and maybe there isn't. That's the problem here. Maybe it isn't. But could it be a blow off top up into resistance? Just keep that in mind. Be thoughtful. I tell this to people all the time. The trend is your friend. Picking the tops and bottoms, you better be at some sort of support resistance zone. And if you are early, you better be ready to camp. And when I mean camp, take your time. Don't be in a rush. Sometimes you get days of retest. Maybe it happens 2 weeks later. Maybe it's the next day it backs up. But the first top is not the top to go all in. That's why we talk about all or nothing traders are the absolute worst and will blow up, because they're expecting to be right. They are putting themselves in a position to anticipate that they will always be perfectly right. And for anyone to say, oh, I hit my trades perfect every time, you are an idiot. You're lying to yourself. That is not true. I don't. So we talk about layering in, talk about the zones. But here's the hardest part about shorting here. God, man, AA is a beast. Here's the hardest part about shorting here. Is this the top? I don't know. Do you want to go all in here? I don't know. Do you want to pay attention to everything we talked about? Because if it is, then you're like, oh, maybe the market does have higher. 6% cash plus on the sidelines. Everyone bearish. Have we seen the tune go to bullish? Have we seen that pivot bull crap lie? Oh, the Feds are going to pivot. Come to fruition, actually happen? No. Just bear markets, y'all. And what we need to rally is rallying to put the market in a position to hopefully go lower later. And it's your good old friend, black Texas tea, whatever, oil, whatever you want to call it. That is a nice gap up. Even if it stays flat today, I don't care. I don't care. Bought more down here. Remember we talked about here. Do I have to review this? Because I feel like some people just, they don't listen. That's fine. We talked about oil hitting 93. If you took a lot of gains, I took a lot of gains. Because I was like, you know what? I don't think oil's going to pop through the election. I took a ton of gains. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait for some dips. And it started dipping. Did you get in at the very low? Not on all of the position, no. But I'd layered in again. Here we go. Start the process over and over and over and over and over. Man, AA, go. Go, go, go. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Because I feel like there's a lot of people struggling. And it's like, I don't know how I could lay this out any more clearly. Please, be careful shorting. My only short is NDAQ. And I've told you guys why 1,000 times. It is the Coinbase of the NASDAQ kind of thing. It is the exchange for which all pain from the NASDAQ will be felt. Well, where did you get in, Dan? Early. Early as crap. Oh, that's not the daily. Early as crap. Way too early. Got in, started at the trend line on this gap. Bad. Added up on this day. And then I was like, I'm giving up. My cost basis is 63.70, which is like right here. Not good. I should stop out, but I am just at this point where I think it's a nice little hedge. If the market drops, this stuff will drop. But it's completely wrong. But the position is small enough. Again, March puts. March. Not December. Not next week. March. You know what? All right, for 5. I think I got 5 and 2. 7 total. I got 63, 33, 61, 67s. I'm down a whopping $800 on that. On the stock, I'm down $1,000. But if you think about it, I am up that and more times 3 on AA just alone today. CF. I mean, it's not distracting me. I absolutely am breaking a rule here. I should have taken the loss, but I was so focused on my winners and managing them that I lost track in the sense of caring, because it is such a small position. I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong. Any questions, thoughts, concerns before I just wrap this up? I mean, I don't know what else to say. I guess maybe get up to 68. Any thoughts, questions, concerns? Because I think a lot of people are playing this mental game where they got a short. I get it. Dan, can you take a look at XOP? Oh, sorry, I didn't even look at XOP. Yep, no problem, my friend. Absolutely. So this is interesting because Kristen, I think you're always hanging out. I don't know if you saw the conversation I was having with Drew. We talked about like this 20-day action. It needed to come off the bottom again. This gap today is not bearish. Now again, does it have to fill soon? Probably not. This could be another gap and go. I mean, you would think it's going to fill the gap completely at 162. Just a matter of when. But again, if you've got gains and you're ever nervous, trade around the position. I tell people all the time, like if you bought Gush, man, wasn't that thing in like 180 or something? Some people are trading it. And this thing moves fast. I mean, if you bought this in the 170, 180, and you're up 20 points, 10%, and you want to take a little off, do it. Do it. Rum and Coke. Do it. You got to trade around the positions. And I know it's hard to sell AA. Again, I wish I had 100% of that. But I am cognizant the market is what? Wow. This has been fire. Talked about big boy. Talked about, like, you trade around it. And if you miss out on some of the upside, great. Well, maybe you have to think about the reverse of it. You would have what? You could have had some dips to buy. You can't assume certain things all the time. Like that's just the biggest warning. That's just the biggest warning. And when you're right, you're right. You just let it run. It's like gold. It's like oil. It's like you're letting some of this run. You're not ever taking your eye off. Again, if you sold if you sold all of your stock at 45, Sempachi, like what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't get that. Talked about yesterday. Literally, if you sold, you should have been adding. All right, well, if you replaced it with oil, I get that. Blessing given. Because, yes, yesterday was a good day to buy oil. So, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. That's a win. Still a win. I just, again, you got to let some of your winners run. Remember we talked about Livermore, talking about like his best trades were sitting on his hands. Let the winners run. All right, been doing this 30 minutes. I haven't really done a ton. The stuff that I added yesterday not doing anything. I mean, look at that. Man, Netflix back now at near 280. Gold flat, oil, nice. UNG, nice. The high of the day, CF, consolidating. Remember, this isn't a one-day probably event. Just keep that in mind. Probably not a one-day event. Remember the squeeze. Now, again, if it drops to, or if the SPY chops around 395, are we going to go, oh, it's game over? Probably not. Because remember, the first dip should get what? Bought. IWM making higher highs. Things that just aren't bearish. The dollar getting swept. Down. Now you have maybe a new price target here. 28. Now people are like, oh, you said 29. Well, again, I said 29 was up in the 30s. And it went lower. That's great. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, just because you put your levels, and this is for everybody, not just me, like holding me accountable, whatever. Hold yourself accountable. Like, you have these targets. You have these spots. They don't always play out. So you don't just instantaneously go into a trade. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like, because I think a lot of people really screwed up SMH. And when I say screw up, I mean like, all right, they got the first touch. Boom. And if they went all in, this action murdered them. And people are like, well, how come you didn't short it? Because I thought the market was going to go higher. So again, this was the, we talk about this from October low, where the upside, well, it changes. The evidence changes. We talked about if the SPY top was 390, well, then probably the 200 right here is the top. But if the SPY is now launching to higher highs, and the Qs can have a little bit of action, well, then guess what? You have to adjust your target. This is where it's so dangerous to go, well, I'm not long anymore. I have to short. This is where I'm trying to like shake people and slap them around. Literally, like, whoa. You don't have to short right now. You don't. I mean, that's that feeling of revenge trading. I should have been long AA. It's up another 11% today. I got to go short something. I'm telling you. Been there, done that. It gets real painful. Just let the trend play out. And that's why I'm proud of the people. If they're not trading and they miss this up move, they're not sitting here every day going, where do I short? When do I short? When do I short? When do I short? Let's short 10. Okay. Good luck. I mean, if the market's rising, this is like NDAQ mistake times 10 because it can move faster. Again, financials. People are saying we're at the highs here. I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know about you, but I see what I would consider like a broadening pattern. I don't know how you want to draw it, but I don't know. It looks like wide and loose. I see the next zones, but again, this mentality that I have to trade the zone. Well, what do we talk about? The tendencies change. You got to be flexible. This is where if the rising tide lifts boats. I mean, here's your upside target zone. I mean, we talked about, nobody thought this at 29. All right, well, you're up at the highest part. Remember this run up? Or 30, sorry. Well, you're getting back up there. Does it have to fail? I would think, remember, the third time's a charm. Why don't you trap it? Go a little higher if it's going to flop over. Does that make sense? I think it's just a lot of people just get super technical, and that's what we talk about, the art of trading. There is an art. Engineers, accountants, people who are all analytical don't understand the psychology of this at all, and that's where they make the same stupid mistakes. I made those same stupid mistakes. I tried to be analytical always, and it's like, why don't we think about what the market's doing? Oh, the psychology. What is the market up to? Oh, it's trapping everybody. Yesterday was a huge trap, right? Huge trap. Well, is it going to resolve in one day? I don't know. Now, again, making slightly higher highs, that's not surprising in the amateur hour. But does it mean it has to collapse? I don't know. But I'm not going to... It just, again, a trap doesn't resolve in one day typically. Like this, I talked about this bear trap at the lows. Oh, and then it pulled back. Oh, everyone's like, it's bear. I'm like, you better hold. If it holds this area, it's good. Then what happens? Zing. Oh, it's bear. And again, every time it's pulled back, it's made higher highs. This is an uptrend. You are shorting an uptrend. Just warning, if you are doing such. Just like NDAQ, I took on the realization that I am fighting This is a trend. It could be painful. If you're expecting to get rich, you are lying to yourself near term because we don't know. Now, again, maybe you short here and you disappear for 3 months. That's what you want to do. Great. That probably works out. But near term, you could be in heat. And not like dog in heat. I'm talking about like sitting in boiling water like a frog. You know, the heat's slowly turning up. You get sleepy, you fall asleep. Next thing you know, wham. You're cooked. You're dead. Good God, AA. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Next resistance. Coming into it. Coming in hot. Coming in, yeehaw! Yeehaw! Again, it just is what it is. I hope people are, again, I'm surprised at the lack of feedback I've gotten lately. And again, maybe it's because everybody's mad that I booted a ton of people. But it's for your own best, I promise you. The people that have been involved in the Discord room have been booted before because they realize, like, hey, if I can't, like, this mistake that we're talking about that you're continuously repeating, if you don't change it, your outcome is guaranteed. And that outcome is emotional overtrading, losses, whatever it is. I mean, you know yourself. FOMO, no patience, meaning like, you know, because I think fear of missing out's like chasing high, where like patience, not letting things come to you, is a little different. They're the same but different. I don't know what to tell people. I'm here to help you, but I can't make you change. And that's where I just tell people, like, I give away this information for free. You take it, you run with it. If you can't run with it and you want to do things your way, don't try to change me. That's the problem. Like, don't try to tell me how these things work, because my results speak for themselves. The people who've been following it speak for themselves, because I think people don't realize, like, 99.9% of this is mental. It literally is. But if you don't realize the market's meant to make you emotional and take you off of your positions, take you out of your mental game, if you do not realize that, then I don't know what to tell you. Because that is the hardest part, the mental side of this. The ability to let a winner run, the ability to cut losses quickly, the ability to admit when you're wrong. Those are the things. The charts are there. We give good information. We give good spots. We give good context of what to anticipate. Can you execute it? If you can't execute it, and I know you can't because you talk to me, you ask questions, and you do these repeating things over and over, I don't want to watch you as the Titanic slowly crash. I just don't. I want you to be better, but I can't force you to do anything. Any thoughts, concerns, questions at this point? Because I'm going to wrap it up unless someone wants. Again, you have my full attention. There's nothing for me to do today. We're not even at OPEX. We're not even to OPEX. And remember, all those puts that got bought for next week haven't even been a question. Remember, next week you got Tuesday, probably would be the best day to start really unloading. But we'll see. Again, if you got oil, I think you can hold oil, gas, trade around it. Obviously, don't be silly. Don't just get greedy and go, I know it's going to 105. Yes, you could be right, but is it going to get there in a straight line? Probably not. And if it does, even cooler. I mean, you're still going to have some. The straight line moves are not normal. Remember that. They are not normal. They are the anomaly. This candle here, how many days after it could it continue? I don't know. These are the trends that I like. People hate this. I love this stuff because, again, you just buy the dip, wait, buy the dip, wait, buy the dip, wait. It goes. This is where it gets harder because the bigger the move, the potential, the bigger the chop follows. You see that? You don't know. Again, it could go, again, China turning back on. I mean, BA's been busting a move. I mean, I feel like you're still going to get to the 58 potential if the market holds up. Any thoughts, questions, concerns, comments? I'm amazed, but also probably happy that people are quiet because they're doing well. If you're not doing well, hit me up. And again, if you've made a donation to the channel and you're just like, man, this is crap, I'm so confused, I've called like 10 people in the last 3 days just to check on them and be like, how are you mentally? Mentally check in, because that's the hardest part. I'm telling you, it's all mental. I'm telling you, it is all mental. No problem, Mark. I mean, again, it's can you let the evidence play out? Like, people are so good at holding on to losers that are wishing to be well, and they know they can be great, but they don't hold their winners. And meaning holding like trade around it, right? Like, and that helps profit pressure. It's a real thing. It is an absolute real thing. So be safe out there. Be smart. Now, again, if you're shorting, you got to be thoughtful, man. You just got to be thoughtful. Short crap stocks, right? Lupus, thank you for all you do, man. I know you're working on some things, and hopefully you'll get those. You and I can go through some more of the notes for folks, but you just gotta. It's hard, you know. I'm like talked about, you know, being able to not trade. Like, if you're not in this market chasing it, like, that's power. Just to be like, I'll wait, and maybe there's a dip you could go long if you want to, or you just say, you know what, I'm just gonna wait for the short. Like, that is. Most people just can't do that. Every day the market's open. I got to do something. The casino is flashing. Ding, 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 ding. You hear the people yelling, screaming. Everyone's having fun. You feel like you got to jump in. I'm telling you, that's what the market wants. We don't do that, man. We just don't. I stopped myself out of A on November 2nd. I'm still mentally okay. I made up some of the losses on other trades. I have to look forward, not backward. I mean, ID Doc, this is the thing, man. And this is a good question. If you anticipate winning more times than not, then you don't ever fear missing out. There's always another great trade. Like, once you believe that you can actually be successful in this, like, missing out on an AA is like, all right, there'll be another one. And is it always every day, every week, every month? No, this is the hardest part, though. I don't know if Eric's around, because we've talked about this. Like, imagine if you had one great trade a month. That's all you had. If you could figure out a way to, like, leverage that, you're doing great. But people are trying to do 20, like, again, remember, less is more. They're trying to do 100 trades and 95 of them win. That is hard as hell. That's why, again, I don't know if Vandegoth's listening or not. I mean, again, he loves a day trade. If that's his shtick and it works, great. It's a lot of work. The average person listening here has a job and can't watch all day. Those people, I'm telling you, you have to get the mindset right in this. And it's like going fishing. Like, sometimes the conditions are great, sometimes they're not. But when the goods are good, you catch fish. And when they're not, you still enjoy the process. You learn something about yourself. Because this is where it gets wonky. If you're not, like, mentally aware of your mistakes and what you're doing, the market is a mirror. It's going to show you what your weaknesses are. And it's going to exploit them. It's kind of devious if you think about it. Like, if you don't change, you make the same mistake, the market is going to milk you for that every time. Let me just run through some things. There you go, oil. I was just looking at account balance. I'm like, well, I'm making newer highs. There you go. Well, AA just keeps cranking. 200-day, well, whatever. Again, I don't care as much about the moving averages on these USO. Yeah, Oxy did get a downgrade. Let me look at that one. So while I'm looking through the oil patch. You got to love that. Gets a downgrade, opens at the 20-day. Zing, makes higher highs over this big red candle. Remember we talked, hey, Joe, were you the one talking about the Devon anomalies? How this big red candle gap down was, like, the volume didn't make sense? I think that was you. If not, I'm confirmed you were right. High five to you. Correct. 100%. Look at that. Hits 50-day, makes it higher low. Volume doesn't confirm. Pops right back. Nice work, man. That's awesome, because that is some VPA next level stuff right there. Right? Like, that's some next level stuff right there. Because that was a huge anomaly. Like, usually red candles that size have better volume, I think. I'm trying to find, like, a better version of this. I mean, this stuff has been holding up really well. Again, the leaders lead. I mean, people keep talking about tax loss sell. I'm like, why would anyone tax loss sell a winner at this point? I mean, you saw it here, and it just eventually based and came right back. Nice work. Simple rule, short on the way down, not on the rise. Let the market run into OPEX. Yeah, the operator's typically short heavier. Agreed. I mean, I'm not scared to short at the highs if I think the market is peak. You know what I mean? Like if there's a confluence. Know how we talk about evidence? Calorian, if that's the best way to describe it. Like we talk about evidence, like things that aren't bearish, that kind of stuff. Well, the evidence isn't bearish yet. Again, like my NDAQ short is like me getting my, I gotta get something, and it proved to me wrong. And I'm actually, this is the thing, like I know my own weaknesses. Like that stock to me is like an absolute turd bucket. Well, it's still rising. Like solar to me is absolute crap. Like the valuations, like nobody in a recession is adding solar to their houses on a grand level. And if the government has to give out credits, and that's the biggest cost basis, well, guess what? If we run a fiscal monster deficit, I don't know if we'll be able to give away tens of thousands in tax credits for solar. Anyway, whatever. Pick and choose your battles. That's all I can really say, because you're going to find yourself, just like me, at a point where, all right, you relieve the pressure, and if you short something small and it's wrong, you either stopped out, or it goes, hey, confirmation, market ain't weak. And again, I said like 20, 30 minutes. Would I be surprised if the market just chopped today? Like a little indecision after the big up move. That would not be bearish to me. That would be perfect. It kind of reminds me of GDXJ. I don't know why I thought about it, but this was like the recent action. Remember it like had the big gap up and then it just chopped the next day? Not a problem. Speaking of GDXJ, coming back into the next resistance zone. Does this make sense? Like high and tight isn't bearish. High and tight is not bearish. Chopping at the highs is not bearish. Right? Like as you guys said, like the selling is on the way down later. Well, if it's holding up, that means the operators aren't unloading. They must think in their mind, hey, I've got more upside. I am going to move the market higher. I don't need to unload it just yet. Hey, thank you, Mark, for the generous donation. Again, I apologize I booted you for a week, but I think you probably did well without it being in the room. Some of your, maybe it was you, I don't know. Maybe, I can't remember some of the people that I'm just like, you got to go on timeout. Your comments, very emotional. We don't need that. All right. Any more thoughts, concerns, ideas? This is just a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Doji sandwich today to Monday? Could be. Doji sandwich. It could be. It could absolutely be. Now just remember, all the cash on the sideline, all the bears have to find God. Meaning either they give up shorting or they go long. I don't know why that's funny to me, but it just... Does that make sense? Like, at the lows, we talk about, like, the bulls give up. And it's just like, they're like, I'm done. At the highs, the bears give up, the bulls go insane. I don't think we're at that point yet in one day. It's not a one-day event. Right? Unless, now this is the hardest part, unless something came out of nowhere. Which, if that happens, hence why you're taking profits, because this is why I say these rules. Man, here you go, AAPL. You don't know. You can't predict what you can't predict, right? If all of a sudden China takes over Taiwan and the market dumps 10% tomorrow on Monday, if you would have taken gains, you're like, well, at least I didn't lose it all my gains, right? You see, like, that's why these rules are in place, because little do you guys know, something comes out of nowhere a lot of times. I mean, a lot of y'all probably know this, and that's where some of your biggest mistakes may have come from, right? It's just overstaying your welcome, or just something came out of, you just can't control. Hey, do you extend out old trend lines? Yeah, I do. See, for the thing about, again, this is why I love e-signal, and it's not cheap at all. When I draw these like rays, they go out forever. Ooh, it's like a clock. Go out forever. Again, I've tried to move to different trading platform software, and I hated them all. And then that's you realize you're like, well, yeah, you're paying for a software that is literally meant for traders, so they try to make it great. Whereas free softwares by the brokers are absolute garbage. And the reason why they make them garbage is why. I mean, I literally used to get on the phone with Schwab, with brokers, just some of the platforms, and like, listen, you guys need to do this, and you do that. You need to make this more trading friendly. Yeah, we'll work on that. We got you. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Well, are you going to ever implement it? No. That goes to show you again, they're taking your bets. They don't want you to win. They just don't want you to win. Tesla, this is hard. This is so hard down here. I like Netflix so much better. So much better. So much better. That's the only tech trade. Go AA. Aaron. Hell yeah. All right, back to calm. 50. Take some profits if you need to. Again, this is not stuff that is bearish. Dan just embedded CF chart on the video and we're getting real tippy. Oh, let me get some CF for you. Getting the club, getting tipsy. Oh, man. J Solstice. I mean, this is one of the things, I don't know if a lot of people in the room have been doing, but if you've been trading CF, man, you were just taking points left and right. Just taking points. And every time you bought the dip, at some point, if you made a mistake, you got back to even or made more money. That is the definition of trending upwards. And how even mistake trading in a trend, like say you bought this dip and before earnings, well, you got it right back. Say you tried to buy it, I don't know, somewhere in here, you got it back. You know, say you bought it, the Tony, you made money. I gotta love, again, whoa, go oil. Go oil. Again, if you're not making money and you're in the Discord room, you've been following for months, reach out. Again, I appreciate the donations because those people I actually follow up with. You start donating, I'm like, man, I gotta have to maybe drag this person to the finish line, and they'll either get it or they don't. But a small donation gets me interested in people because it's like, you get it. You absolutely get it. You absolutely get it. Your tuition bill is absolutely much cheaper than anyone else. Absolutely. And the more you give, the more I bug you. Especially, like, for example, Lupus has always been very generous. I'm like, dude, what are you up to? Every day. How are you doing? What's going on? Tell me how things are. What can I help you with? Oh, yeah, we're getting hacked. All right. Someone's dropping free girls in your city. Yeah. What about the free guys in our city? This is not very fair. Or what about free what other genders out there or whatever people's fetishes are? This is not a fair advertisement. I don't feel comfortable about this post in my chat. Free girls in you city. In you city. Okay. That's not fair. There might be some ladies here looking for some guys. Or people who want guys. I don't know. It's not very fair, you hacker. Netflix over 280. I mean, AA hitting the 50s spot and just going bonkers. If you don't own AA and you didn't understand, again, remember we talked about VPA, something like the best signals? Remember I get excited, and now here's the time. I get excited about volume because you can't hide the market maker's action here. You can't hide that. Why can't I get rid of this comment? How do I delete these? Hide user on this channel. Okay, cool. All right. Thoughts, concerns, other than, SMH filling the gap. I mean, the market is cooking. The market is cooking. We talked about the cash on the sidelines. Cash, homie. Money coming in. All right. I appreciate everybody. I mean, I know this is a hard job. This is absolutely some of the hardest things you'll ever do. And the market is going to expose every one of your mental weaknesses. And if you're not prepared to become a better person and change and do things differently, some of y'all in the Discord room that have been kicked out multiple times that try to sneak back in, and I let you in, and you still don't change, slap you around. All right. Y'all have a great day. See you in the Discord room. Appreciate the support and love. Pay yourself. Pay yourself. Pay yourself. We're not running this like a casino. Pay yourself. Pay your mortgage. Pay your rent. Pay your bills. Pay your car. Take money out. I'm telling you, get more comfortable, and you will get way more confident in what you're doing, because now you're rewarding yourself. Remember, think about like Pavlov's dog. Like, ring the bell, you get the treat. Pay yourself. That's your treat for trading well. All right. That question is silly, T-Van. All right, I'm out.